team. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami! 1, 2, 3.
All right, Miami Dolphins fans, how are you today on this Monday? Yes, Monday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We got a breaking news audio. I am your host, Michael Leva, joined by Josh Katzker, same old Dolphin show. His brother, Aaron the Brain, should be joining us here shortly, as it's been a busy day for the Miami Dolphins. Let's not bury the lead, though. The Dolphins just announced they are going to sign Malik Willis come Wednesday at 4 p.m. when they can officially sign him. 3 years, $67.5 million, $45 million guaranteed. Comes out to about $15 million per season, roughly. How it's split up, I don't know. I'm sure we'll find it out in the coming days and such. But a big day, Josh, here for the Dolphins. First thing in the morning, release the old starting quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, and by lunchtime, they got their next starting quarterback in place.
I think the signal that this was going to happen, or that they were at least going to be making a serious run at bringing Malik Willis to Miami, was the fact that they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, and all they got in return was a 7th-round pick, which basically was them saying, we just want to get rid of this salary, free up that space, and allow us to make this move. And so they go out and they bring in Malik Willis, who is, they probably won't say it, but when you bring in a guy on a contract like that, that's the new starting quarterback for the
there's
Miami
no competition.
Dolphins.
There's no competition. No, there's no competition.
They may not come out and say it, or they might say on its face it's a competition between Malik and Quinn Ewers. There's no competition. Malik Willis is going to be the week 1 starter for the Miami Dolphins unless there is some sort of injury that rears its ugly head between now and the start of the season. Listen, They went out, they got their guy. They identified right at the beginning, this is the guy that they want. This is who it is. We're going to bring him in. He's going to be our new starting quarterback, and that's the end of the story. And and I'm sure we're going to get into whether we agree with the money, whether we agree with the terms, all of those things. We can hash that out. But the fact is, at the end of the day, John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley identified who their guy was. They went out, they made the push, and they said, we're bringing this guy to Miami, and they got it done.
Yep. Real quick before we move forward, right now, if you're watching us live on YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Super chats are open. We're going to we have a lot of people in, and we've been on the air for less than 3 minutes. So if you want us to share your comment, to talk about your comment, if you have a question, super chats are open. Probably the only way we're going to be able to get to people today is through super chats, but smash the like button. And also, this show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com. for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. They got stuff for the Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Marlins, the Heat as well. Caneswear.com. All right. And I spoke about this on the show I did last night, and it was kind of foreshadowing. That article Dave Hyde of the Sun-Sentinel wrote on Sunday was so telling, where he said, if Malik Willis is your guy, just go get him, because as a GM, you only have so many swings at getting a quarterback. And if you just wait around, always waiting for the next best thing, you eventually just run out of time. He mentioned how Chris Greer, took Tua and then just did nothing, never brought anyone else. Well, and then, if you look back at Ryan Tannehill as well, not Chris Greer, but he is here, and then they did nothing. It's like, Chris Greer was here forever. The next general manager and the one after him ain't going to get that long of a runway here. So, sign Willis, take a quarterback this year around 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to do. Take a quarterback in round 1 next year. You're going to figure it out eventually. You got to keep taking swings. And that's what Dave Hyde wrote. That's what they did. I'm sure he was maybe tipped off a little bit because Dave Hyde's really connected. But that's what they did. It's like, you know what? They're not going to wait around and just let time pass. Like, I know fans just tank. Well, they don't want to tank. That's not in their DNA. Because in this league, a lot of coaches and a lot of general managers get fired after 1 year. And if everyone says the right thing when they're hired, we're going to give them time. Then when you're sitting through a 1-16 season, people forget about what they said in February. It's like, screw you, you stink, you're fine. They're not waiting. They want to win games. They were never tanking. I've said it on this podcast since the day where they're hired. If you listen to other shows or if you get your news from other places that told you they were, reevaluate where you get your news from because they were never tanking. These guys waited their whole lives for this job. They want this job and they got it and they're going to try and win. And here's the deal. If you win with Willis, you ain't got to worry about a quarterback in round. And with this horrible schedule we got next year, it's a bad schedule, tough teams, a lot of them. With a roster that's going to be void of at least experience, let's just say. If they can win, 8, 9, 10 games with Willis, you don't need a quarterback. I mean, I'm sure they'll take one anyways, but you're sitting pretty good. So they took a swing on a guy they believed in that they feel can win games in this league. And this ain't Chris Greer where we can second guess and doubt everything. You got to give these guys a chance, Josh, where let's see if they're right or wrong. Because if they're wrong, guess what? In a few years, they're going to be fired.
Yeah, and I think Aaron is going to join us in a minute, and he's going to speak more on this specifically. But I think these guys had to go out and get their guy, which is what they've done. And what I would say to people, because I see some people that don't like the contract, that I don't know, they don't like this, they don't like that, whatever. I think what's important about the signing of Malik Willis in particular is that this is a young player with enormous upside. And that is the kind of guy that we know that there had been some hints and whispers that Geno Smith wanted to come to Miami. And some people were interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. And there were some other thoughts about some of these other more veteran candidates who were out there. But the thing about those types of players is we know who they are. We know what they're going to be. There's no real upside there. A guy like Malik Willis, this is a guy with a lot of upside. And when you look at his career numbers, when you really look at him, yes, I know he has only started 6 games and he was abject in the 3 games that he started for the Tennessee Titans in 2022. I mean, there's no mistake about it. He was not good. But when you look at what happened after he leaves Tennessee and he goes to Green Bay and you look at the performance that he's put on there, you can see that this is actually a player with a great deal of upside. And if you bet on the performance of what he was doing in Green Bay, that's clearly what's happening here. They're betting on
They're going to
that
replicate
upside.
it. They're going to try to replicate it down
Exactly.
here. And if they will or won't, we don't know, but that's their plan. And like I said, they haven't failed yet. This isn't Chris Greer. You got to give them a chance. Now, if they fail, all 3 of us will be here screaming about this in 6 months or a year or more, whatever. But these guys aren't them. They're not Greer. They're not Mike McDaniel. So, Aaron, welcome to the party.
Thank you.
I know you probably have some strong thoughts on this. Please, the floor is yours, as Ellen Cummings would say.
I love the floor is yours.
The floor is yours.
I don't love the 3rd year. I don't love $45 million guaranteed because that means that they have guaranteed the first 2 years of this. So if it becomes obvious after 1 year that this isn't going to work, too bad. You're stuck with him for at least the 2nd year at a large cost. Obviously, if it works out, you're getting a franchise quarterback for $22 million a year. That's a great deal. That's the pro and con of it. If it works out, it's a bargain. If it doesn't work out, I wouldn't say it's a disaster, but it's really not great. And it could be a disaster because there's a decent chance that Malik Willis is not terrible. I would say this. The most likely thing to happen is actually that Malik Willis is not terrible and he's not great.
I agree.
And if that happens and the Dolphins are mediocre for the next 3 years, well, this could be costing us finding the actual answer at quarterback. I don't like taking your big swing on a guy with 155 career pass attempts. I know you said we're trying to replicate what they did in Green Bay. What the hell are we replicating? The guy's got 155 career pass attempts.
The offensive system is what I'm talking about. They're trying to replicate the system that makes him the most comfortable in.
Right, but it's not like we have this track record of Malik Willis being, an effective quarterback. We have a very, very minute track record. And, what I would say is that, look, they obviously have the information. Nobody knows Malik Willis better than these guys. And they hired the guy from Tennessee who drafted him as well. I kind of don't love the whole process that it seems like they, brought in, this was the plan. And then we're bringing in a bunch of guys to agree with us. It's giving a lot of confirmation bias, which I don't love. I think it should be more of a checks and balances thing with dissenting voices in the room. Obviously, you want a clear vision, but I think if you surround yourself with a bunch of people that have the exact same opinion as you, then I don't know what value that brings. If anything, it gives you more of that groupthink mentality that tends to, polarize your decisions and oftentimes lead you down the wrong road. But I will say this. Nobody knows Malik Willis better than these guys. And so they've got conviction that Malik Willis is their guy. If Malik Willis is your guy and you have this much conviction, I'm all for you taking your swing. But I will say this. If it doesn't work out and it's either a disaster because he's just really bad and you're stuck with a bad contract that you can't get out of and you're just carrying in dead cap space. I know it's not the biggest end. It's not the end of the world because you're going to have a bunch of cap space and the cap goes up every year. But if it's like he's really bad, or what's worse, he's just okay and we're mediocre for 3 or 4 years and now we're stuck in purgatory, well, then I think it's a fireable offense. So they have taken their big swing. It's a weird time to take your big swing when you're in the infancy of a rebuild. If it works out, they're going to look great. If it doesn't work out, it could blow up in their faces and we could be looking for a new GM in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, just real quick here. There's some tweets I want to mention. First off, from the Spotrac account, put out a funny one. They said the Miami Dolphins are an NFL financial thrill ride, which I find amusing. And longtime NFL reporter Gary Myers, he says even though they signed Willis, he thinks Miami's still in play to have number 1 pick next year in the draft. Yes and no. Yes. I mean, let me see here. I think their schedule is so tough, and I don't think they're done. I think they're probably going to trade Waddle come November, like we said. I don't think they might even trade. I think this guy's going scorched earth on his roster. And anyone he can get rid of now, I think he will. He wants this team built in his own vision. I think this roster is going to be – I think Willis can play well, and the team can lose. Two things can be true at the same time. And I think they might lose a lot of, close games next year. What's close? Within 10 points or so, which is most of the games in the NFL. So I don't know what that means. But I don't think this team's going to win a lot next year, even with Willis. This is a play to where they didn't want to punt on this season. And I know a lot of fans want to punt. Those are fans. These guys didn't want to punt on this season. Everyone who said just play Quinn Ewers. They didn't draft Quinn Ewers. They don't know Quinn Ewers. They don't give a flying you-know-what about Quinn Ewers. They ain't going to hand him a job or bring in a patsy like Geno Smith or someone to compete with them. It's they didn't want that. They wanted a fighting chance with somebody. And that's what this is. And again, this is how normal NFL teams operate. We try to win. We don't tank. And if I'm wrong on this guy, and meaning the general manager and head coach are wrong, they will get fired in time. In Miami, we haven't had that. We had one guy just be here forever and never leave no matter how bad it got. This is people going to have to answer for the thing. So if they feel this strongly in him, they know if they're wrong in 3 or so years, they're gone. I mean, that's how this league works. So I'm okay with it because I think this is a new turning on the page of the Miami Dolphins. Chris Greer and that crazy mindset that failed is gone. And these guys, they are on the record today. This is our guy. And let's see how this goes. And again, they still might take a quarterback in round 1 next year. That's not off the table because I think these guys want to fix this problem once and for all in Miami, get a franchise quarterback. So in year 3, if you're starting Arch Manning, Lenoris Sellers, Dante Moore, and Willis is your backup for 1 year, they're going to sit there and go, our plan worked out, and they're probably going to be very happy people.
And I think you can also listen. I understand that people feel like the Dolphins have maybe overpaid, and we can get into the numbers and all of that, but they're betting on a guy with a big ceiling. And when you look at his numbers in Green Bay, and again, it's only 3 games that he started. He's played in 11 games total with the Packers, but he's got a 78.7 completion percentage. He threw for 972 yards. He threw 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The numbers are good. The numbers are strong. It is undoubtedly a small sample size. But when you look at what those numbers are, you extrapolate them out, you can see why they're making this investment. Again, you can agree or disagree onto how much he should be paid, but the fact is they went and they got their guy and they made that investment. Is $45 million guaranteed a bit rich? Yeah, it's a bit rich, but actually, if he ends up being the player that you want him to be and he hits, then it's a bargain, and you've got him on a bargain deal for 3 years. So it's a gamble. It is certainly a gamble that John Eric Sullivan is going out there and making to bring in his target. But if it works out, this is going to be quite a coup for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, dude's got 6 starts, and he's only got 2 starts where he's had to throw the ball more than 20 times in a game. In those 2 games that he threw the ball more than 20 times, team lost. I don't want to dig in too much into the numbers on his stats because I think the stats are relatively irrelevant because the sample size is so small. But that just goes to the point of this is really not a proven guy. It's not a proven commodity. But again, I don't think let me be clear. I don't think it's an overpay. I think they paid what the market was.
Yes, exactly.
I think they paid what the market was. He essentially got the Justin Fields deal adjusted for the increase in salary cap. So I think he got a fair deal. I'm not going to, I don't think it's like this horrific overpay or anything. It's just a question of, is that the correct way for the Dolphins to use their resources currently, given where they're at in the build, given what their outlook is for 2026, which obviously takes projection and nobody knows the way this thing is going to turn out. But when you look at the roster overall, you look at the schedule, you look at the remaining cap space and all of that stuff, it's going to be difficult to put together a winner, regardless of who you have at quarterback. We'll see. I don't love the $45 million guaranteed. I don't love the 3 years because, I'm not like
1 year too many that you liked. Yeah.
Well, what ends up happening with it is, they're going to give him they're going to basically, it's like a $45 million signing bonus. So he's going to play for like $1 million base salary. And then they're going to take the $45 million or like the $44 million or $45 million signing bonus. And they're going to spread that over 3 years. So he's going to be paid $15 million over the next 3 years. I don't know how many void years they put on this contract that could actually make the cap space less, or how much money they're deferring into 28, 29, 2030. I don't know that. We'll know that when the actual details of the contract come out. But if it's just a straight 3-year deal, let's say this deal doesn't work out, and it just, he doesn't perform to where the Dolphins want him to perform, and we're set to move on after 2027. Well, you're either eating a $15 million dead cap charge for 2028, or if you put 1 void year out on there and then you're extrapolating something like $11 million, then you're taking on like a $22 million dead cap charge, which I know if you don't have a bunch of guys that are going to be on dead cap, you could eat that. The cap's going up every year. But we've sat here and we've talked about it's probably likely that Jalen Waddle is going to get traded. That's going to be dead cap. A lot of it. Zach Sealer potentially going to get traded or cut like in a year, if not at the deadline. That's potential dead cap. Where it's very early, but this is the precedent that they're setting. very early with their first significant move, it's very reminiscent of what got us into this mess to begin with.
This is a bold move. It's a bold move, no doubt. And we do have some breaking news that only pertains to you two, because
Oh boy.
I know you guys spent some time on this on a show like a few days ago. Mitchell Trubisky has signed a 2-year contract with the Tennessee Titans to be Cam Ward's backup. I don't know. I didn't see the amount, honestly. I just saw that he signed a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. So just wanted to have some fun with that.
Good for him.
I will say this too. Aaron, everything you said is right. And Hyde in his Sun Sentinel article yesterday did point out when Favre was traded for a first-round pick, 17th overall, he had only thrown 4 passes, 2 of which were intercepted. And when Mark Brunell left the Packers, he had only, I think, threw 27 passes. So, look, that's a long time ago. I know the game's change, the game's evolve. It's not night and day, but there is some precedence for this of guys having a small sample size, but people who think he's the long-term answer. So that's it on Willis. And part of the reason they had to make a move for Willis is because it was announced on Monday that they informed Tua Tagovailoa he will be cut officially at 4 p.m. Wednesday. And now for the cap hit, I've seen conflicting reports. Some people say they're going to take $67.4 million this year and then $32 million next year. Then some people are saying they still might pick up the option, do $55 million this year and $43 next year. I don't know who to believe on this because I've seen each one be reported from trusted people, let's just say. But it's over. He's gone. Look, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. And it sounds like he is about to sign with Atlanta, or say that he has come to terms with Atlanta and go there. Great. Have fun in Atlanta. I think, Chris Perkins wrote an article saying that this is the most disappointing stretch of Miami Dolphins football, and fans are getting all over Perk. But you know what? He's technically not wrong. Only because there's expectations. When they sucked with John Beck, when they sucked with Cleon Love, like no one had expectations. There was expectations, which makes it so frustrating. And we watched a guy, start off slow, hit a peak, and then sort of fall off a cliff. We watched a guy whose attitude, he became very tone deaf at press conferences, attacking fans, attacking his coach, attacking the media, attacking guys in the locker room. Look, I don't care where he goes. I don't care if he has success elsewhere. I just don't. But I'm just happy it's over. I'm just really, really happy it's over. I'm sick of talking about this guy. He was coddled by this fan base for far too long, a large segment of the fan base. And I'm glad they didn't wait. They made the announcement today. It's time to move on. Get the hell out of town.
It's been over since they pulled him as the starter at the tail end of last season.
It was over in the Cleveland game last year, really, if we're being honest.
As soon as they benched him and said, we're going with somebody else to be the starting quarterback, Tua time was over. We did a whole show about it. We did that was the end of it at that point. And so now they've completely washed their hands of him. They're going to be dealing with the pain of that contract strange. It was almost like that contract was put together by somebody who knew he wasn't going to have to deal with the long-term pain of it. Anyway, they got rid of him. It's over. I am in favor of just taking the medicine in terms of that contract hit. Let's not spread this out over multiple years.
Well, they can't do $99 million. Yeah. They can't. Right. I mean, they just can't.
Well, I mean, you do. Yeah, obviously you split it over the two, but you
take the 67. So take the larger hit this year.
Take the big hit now.
I've seen
slightly
both
smaller hit next year.
I have no idea what they're doing. Yeah,
I think it's irrelevant.
I think it is. Hold on.
I think it's okay. Go ahead. Finish your point.
Well, the fact is, the for me, it's take the hit. Wash your hands of it. And the sooner that contract is completely off the books, the better for the organization as a whole, especially when you look at it from the perspective of this is not a team that's going to be competitive this year. I mean, if they are competitive this year, then, fantastic. Your cap hit next year is going to be smaller. It's not so bad. And you've significantly overachieved. But the way that I look at it, let's just take our medicine and get ourselves set so that when 28 season arrives, you are clean slate, ready to drive forward and build an actual contender.
Yeah. I think, look, at the end of the day, You're splitting it into 2 years. The only difference is whether or not they free up more cap space for this season versus more cap space for next season. You're going to have a lot of cap space next season, regardless. No matter how much of the Tua contract you take on, you're going to have a large amount of cap space. And whatever you don't use in cap space this year can get rolled over to add to the cap space for next year. The thing that would make it difficult, especially now that you're spending a lot of money at quarterback, is that you still got to field a roster this year. And you don't get the post-June 1st money until post-June 1st. So if there are any other contracts out there, there are any other free agent targets out there that are not like vet minimum guys that these guys like, exercising the option on Tua to free up more cap space this year will give them the flexibility to be able to do that. And so if that's the route that they decide to go, as long as they're not giving out, big contracts to players that have no upside.
Well, we got some breaking news. If you want it, right here. Miami Dolphins have signed punter Jake Bailey to a 2-year extension, $9 million.
Best player on the team. Let's go.
I think it's $9 million. Don't hold me to that, but I know they signed him to a 2-year extension. I'm sorry, a 3-year, $9 million deal for Pat McAfee. That includes $5 million fully guaranteed. So we got quarterback and punter taken care of. Still got to get a place kicker in place, but other than that, it's going to be a lot of rookies, I think. Everywhere else, it's going to be nonstop rookies. But Jake Bailey is coming back to South Florida.
Excellent. Elite holder, Jake Bailey.
Elite holder.
That's
But
right.
he got nobody to hold for right now. That's the problem.
It doesn't matter. We've got the elite
He's gonna
holder.
hold
Anybody can kick.
That finger's going to be right there, no matter who's kicking that football. Yeah, because I wrote an article today that is up on the website. It is no sure thing that Riley Patterson will be back, because he might have a market where he might actually get a payday where Miami might be priced out. We'll see. Josh, I see that. I don't know if we'll get flagged for it, though. That's my worry. So let's skip that.
They could draft a kicker. The kicker, presumably it's going to be probably the 7th round.
6th or 7th. Yeah.
And then you've got control over that player for 4 years at very minimal cost. Paying $1 or $2 million for a kicker and then doing the same thing next year and then the year after until you sign somebody long term.
Falcons. I'm reading tweets saying he signed from. Oh, you know what? That's people are being. We got no special teams, okay? Who's our long snapper? Right?
Bring back. They found their guy, and let's see what he can be. If he hits the ceiling that John Eric Sullivan certainly thinks he can reach as the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, and that the Tennessee Titans thought that he could reach when they drafted him, then this is going to end up ultimately being a bargain for the Miami Dolphins. If it doesn't work out, if it turns out that he's not the guy, then that is an enormous strike against this new regime. And that is what it is. And I think you can say that and have it be pretty cut and dry. So it's, it is what it is. Agree with the money if you want. I think given everything, what they were saying the market was for him, I was hearing that, we were talking about a $30 million annual value for Malik Willis. The fact that they end up getting him for, ultimately around $15 million per year in guaranteed money, not so bad, according to what the market ended up being.
Yeah, he was going to get 30, 35 a year. I called bullshit on that a long time ago. It was never going to happen.
Yeah, but $15 million a year in guaranteed money is not accurate. It's $45 million in guaranteed, and it's the
Over
first 2
3 years.
years of his contract that are guaranteed. The 3rd year of his contract is not guaranteed. So
even if it's $22.5 million over those first couple of years, that's still not a bad deal.
It's fair market value. But the point is, he was going to be you're not signing Malik Willis to compete for the starting quarterback job. Whoever signed him, they were going to sign him to be the starting quarterback. And so he's going to be the starting quarterback. You had to pay him starting quarterback money. This was the market value for a first-time starting quarterback on the free agent market. It's the same contract that Justin Fields signed last year adjusted for the increase in salary cap. It is what it is. It's just a matter of, did you give him I think my gut tells me they probably had to give him the third year to give him more money guaranteed, because they didn't want to give him a 2-year fully guaranteed contract. He probably had an offer from Arizona. They needed.
I got that right here. They had an offer, but the price got too rich for them. That's from Connor Hughes of SNY.
Yeah, it was probably they had to add the third. They probably decided we would rather add the third year, guarantee the second year, than go up any more on the annual per year, the annual value. That's not fact, but that's the way that I would read into it, and that's probably what happened. And it's fine, it's fair market value, but it's a big swing. It's a ballsy move. It shows they've got conviction. So what we can say, Josh, you're absolutely right. If this works out, it's a bargain. If this doesn't work out, it's a major strike, because to have the amount of conviction that they had about it, if they're wrong, it's a bad look in their first big swing, because it's the first major decision that they made. The Tua decision is not a major decision because it was kind of a no-brainer. The Minkah decision, kind of a no-brainer. The Minkah decision, the fact that they traded him for a 7th as quickly as they did, was the first sign that you should have had that, they need to free up this cap space as quickly as possible because they're going after Malik Willis. They traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and within a couple of hours, they've signed Malik Willis. So that's what happened there. Everything that they've done has been moves that anybody would have made if they were the GM. This is the move that stands out as this is the first major decision of John Eric Sullivan's career as a GM. It's a big swing. It could go either way.
Yeah, let's talk.
I'm clipping Aaron saying, Josh, you're absolutely right. That is getting clipped and going to be played on every podcast.
It's going to be your ringtone.
It's
going to be your ringtone every time the phone rings. Josh, you're right. Let's talk Minkah Fitzpatrick here. I see, look, we knew he would be traded. It opens up $5.8 million of salary cap space for the Dolphins. I see some Dolphins fans upset. Why would you trade him to the Jets? They're in the same division. Folks, both teams stink. Who cares? I mean, let's be honest. The Jets and Dolphins both stink. I could care less where Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded to, as long as it opened up to $5.8 million. Could they have waited till late April to maybe see what team maybe would offer a 6th, a 5th, or a 4th? Sure, they could have. But clearly they needed this money today because they had plans for Malik Willis, like Aaron just said. And I even put out a tweet 5 minutes after this was done. Clearly, they didn't want to wait because they needed the money now, today. I still wouldn't be sure if between now and Wednesday of 4, they announced Chubb is not a post-June 1st cut because they want $7 million now and not $20 million later. We don't know. They haven't said anything yet. They got to Wednesday of 4. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But they wanted this money today. And we know why now. And again, Minkah to the Jets. Jets gave him 3 years, $40 million. Congrats to him. He gets another payday. Seems like every time he gets moved, he gets a new contract. God bless him. But I don't really care that he went to the Jets because newsflash, the Jets are going to stink next year too.
Yeah. By the time Minkah Fitzpatrick is any good,
he'll be retired.
I mean, first off, he got a contract extension with the Jets.
3 for $40. Yep.
Yeah. Who cares? Who
cares?
That's a contract that's going to age like sour milk. And the Jets are going to be stuck with that contract because he's already a guy that's on the decline. Josh and I have difference of an opinion. Josh thinks he's a replacement level or slightly better than replacement level player at this point in his career. I think he's better than that, but he's not going to be much better than that for very long, maybe for like a year or two. So by the time the Jets are good, is Minkah Fitzpatrick, is that contract going to be a bargain for the Jets? No, I don't think so. And who cares? At the end of the day,
I care less.
Just
worry about your own team. Don't worry about every other team. We can't even get our own team right.
They went out and put feelers out at the combine. They knew that the second they could make the trade and announce this trade, they were going to make the trade. The second they could start negotiating with Malik Willis, they were going to trade Minkah Fitzpatrick. They've known this for at least weeks, if not months. They've known that this this has been the plan. So they went out and they put feelers out. I assume, like, you traded him within the division. I would assume the Jets offer was the best offer that they had.
Probably.
And they said, like, screw it. Let's do it. I don't care where we're trading him. We need the cap space. This is the best offer we have. Let's do it.
Anything, Josh?
No, I mean, listen, I would have loved them to have gotten more for it, but they clearly were approaching the move with the ramifications of what the cap space was going to give them as the driver. And with that being the motivation behind the move, they got their salary dump, they got their money, they got their quarterback. It's all connected. It's all connected, which is why you can't take the Malik Willis move in a vacuum. You have to see all of these other things that are attached to it and see how it colors what they're going to do for the rest of this offseason. So it is what it is. I would have liked to have gotten more from it, but they ultimately parlayed the trade of Minkah Fitzpatrick to get a 7th round pick and Malik Willis. So you can look at it that way.
You might have to use that pick on a punter and a kicker too. Who knows? Okay, we got 2 super chats here. One from our friend Eric. Thank you. Oh no, 2 is gone by Felicia. I think that's how a lot of Dolphins fans feel. You know, I see some fans putting up like these weepy, sad stories. We always believed in you. Oh, you're going to go on and do great things. Great. I mean, no other player gets coddled as much as him. If you want to put up weepy messages, go for it, people. But yeah, I think a lot of fans are happy to see him gone. And from Alexander Fort, Ryan Tannehill was better than Tua. What's a low bar? They gave Tua everything and were behind him 100%, unlike RT17. I don't know. I thought Ryan had some quality teams there at the end. He just couldn't stay healthy, unfortunately, when he had Jay Ajayi, Landry. Those teams are pretty good. And that offensive line was pretty good for him. He just got hurt there at the end of the year. Then he got hurt in training camp. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, that's pretty much the big news from today thus far. I will say this. This was their big move. This was it. Okay. They still have now even less salary cap space than probably from when they started. I think they're going to pretty much sit on their hands here for a week or two. I mean, they might do a small move here or a small move there, but nothing of significance. This was their big offseason move. I don't know if they have any other big offseason moves in them. I don't think they can, honestly. And I think now it's going to be more of a focus on the draft, where they'll get a role player here, 1 year, $4 million, 1 year, $2 million. I think that's kind of what they're looking at. This was it. This was their big, bold move. They made it. On the offensive line, you got 3 guys in place, and Paul, Aaron Brewer, Austin Jackson, and Joan. I don't think they're going to cut off. So you got 4 guys in place. So there, wide receiver needs help. Wide receiver needs help. But I think they'll probably sign one guy for like $1 or $2 million, who might be a name people recognize, might not be any good, but someone like that. And then they'll probably look in the draft, 2nd, 3rd round, stuff like that. And then on the other side of the ball, like they really just got to focus. I think the draft is going to be heavy on defense because they got nothing on defense. They got nothing. When Chop Robinson's your only edge rusher, you're screwed. When you have no one in the secondary right now, and I mean no one of consequence in the secondary, outside of like Jason Marshall and stuff and Dante Trader, like that. This draft, I think, early rounds going to be defense, more defense. Maybe mixing a wide receiver come round 3 or something like that. But I think free agency wise, keep checking your phones. I don't think you're going to see a lot of news on the Miami Dolphins signing guys here, at least until that 2nd or 3rd wave, probably.
Nothing has broken yet, but according to a report from Matt Zenitz, who is a reporter for CBS
he's very
Sports,
good. Yeah,
he says the Dolphins are among 3 teams that are in on former San Francisco 49ers receiver Kendrick Bourne. So that would be an interesting value signing. Mike, I don't know if this is worthy of the breaking news drop, but we do have an instant reaction to the Dolphins acquiring Malik Willis from friend of the show, Frank the Tank. Can I share that with the people? Here we go.
How many F words are there, though? Are there like
I don't believe there are any. I believe there's one use of the Lord's name in vain towards the end, but there's no actual swearing. So here it is, the reaction from Frank the Tank.
I love it.
I believe the Dolphins signed Malik Willis.
So they got rid of Tua, and they're bringing in Tua 2. The sequel. Tua 2 Electric Boogaloo. they give up their number one pick. They give up draft picks for a guy who sucks. He's 2-2. He's the same quarterback.
Frank pulls no punches.
Could have given Quinn Ewers a shot. But nope. Doing the same mistake again. God damn it.
It's
I
the
gotta
look at the
say,
camera at the end for me.
if you're watching on YouTube, Frank looks great. Frank looks amazing. He's lost so much weight. He looks like a whole different person.
Putting in the work.
Working
he has
out with
put in the
Arnold.
work. It's like over 900 days to a walking. Plus now he's doing the stuff with Arnold. Look, I love Frank. I'll never say a bad thing about Frank. Frank's the best. I don't think it's as bad as Frank's. Maybe I don't think this is as bad as that. I'm okay. As I said at the top, I'm okay with the signing. Again, not my job. It's on the line. I'm okay with the signing. We'll see where it goes. They were never going to tank. I've told people on the show, folks, they're not tanking. They're not tanking. Now, look, they might just lose, but that's not tanking. They're going to try and win. There's a difference between not trying at all, like we did in 2019, and this, where they might try and just not win games. But I'm okay with it at the end of the day. Let's see. We'll see what happens moving forward here with free agency. But I think it'll be real quiet from this point forward.
I suspect that is going to be the case.
Mitch Trubisky.
What do you get?
No, never mind. This is an old contract.
We can't be making the same mistake twice. First with Jake Bailey, I had someone flip out on Twitter. It's like, dude, relax. It's not that big a deal. I corrected it in like a minute. It's not that big a deal.
Here it is. $14 million over 2 years. I would not have paid that. For Mitch Trubisky.
That's a lot for Mitch Trubisky, who is.
I mean, I don't think it's for Tennessee, they're paying $7 million a year for a backup quarterback. So that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. I will say this too, real quick at the end. And I listen to a lot of people who talk about sports media and where everything's going. And the NFL soon is going to opt out of all their deals with TV. And when they get the new TV deals, it will be for 18 games. That's going to be what they want, which means more money, which means maybe Sullivan, these guys are like, this cap in 2028 is going to skyrocket so much, and it will once you add an 18th game, that this is going to change things. So that could also be a factor here too. And like, you know what, year 3 wasn't ideal, but we know what's going to happen here soon. And it is happening because the NFL is so pissed that the NBA got such a sweetheart deal that's why they have these opt-outs in their deals. So they can opt out now. And you got this nut at Paramount Plus worth zillions of dollars. They're going to just take every one of these Netflix, YouTube. They're going to take everyone to the cleaners and just raking so much money. And yes, Josh, if you want to share that here.
Oh, the thing that I put in the private.
Yeah, share. Why not?
Sure. So this is just among the many different signings that are going on right now. The Ravens the Raiders, not only are they getting their quarterback in the draft in Fernando Mendoza, they're also shelling out a 3-year, $81 million deal for Tyler Linderbaum, the center who was most recently with the Baltimore Ravens. So that is a huge money, a
lot of money
contract.
For a center.
And if Sullivan was trying to get Aaron Brewer resigned, obviously Brewer's never going to command that much money, but that is probably going to drive up the cost on that Brewer extension just a little bit.
Yeah, Brewer's going to easily get $20 million a year.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, those are the kinds of deals that you're going to keep an eye on. Do they do anything?
And that's why I think
what do they do with Brooks? What do they do with Brewer? Those are going to be the things that you really want to keep an eye on, because those are also the kind of deals that might potentially free up some more cash for some other moves down the line.
Yeah, and that's why he said at the Combine, John Eric Sullivan, that those extensions aren't going to happen until the summer, probably because Chubb will be posting first. $20 million, pay your rookies. Now he's got some money to play with when it comes to Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer. That's why it probably won't happen until the summer. Not now, although if you did something now, you could open up salary cap space now. But again, after today, I don't think they're going to really need or want a lot of space because it's going to be a lot of very cheap deals, $2 million a year, $1.5 million a year, $3 million a year, that type of stuff for guys who are, they got to fill out a roster somehow just to get through this year. And the focus is on the draft. That's where he's really going to earn his money. Who can he get from this draft? Who can not only contribute right away and see the field, and then in a year or two be really big time contributors. We'll see. We will see. Everyone, thank you for listening. Check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. I have updated it like 10 times today already. When news breaks, we got it. Rumors out there. Geno Smith, we didn't have to talk about. He wanted to come to Miami. He wanted to come home. Geno, not happening. Have fun with the Jets with your reunion at Florham Park. Have a blast. We didn't have to talk about that, but we got all the stuff that's happening up at the website, DolphinsTalk.com. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Audible, subscribe. Show if news breaks later today, I'll pop on tonight. Also, Seth Levitt, OJ McDuffie, they recorded a show. I will drop it in like an hour or two, talking about the stuff with Tua. I don't know if they spoke about Willis because I don't think it happened yet, but I'll see. That'll be out in a few hours, so be on the lookout for that on YouTube, Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, hit the alert bell. Josh, Aaron, any closing words?
Yep. Make sure you subscribe to Dolphins Talk Extra at patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, where there's even more content going on. There's a healthy debate about this signing going on right now in our private Discord, which you get access to. You also get bonus podcasts, including Aaron the Brain's prospect film review that's going on right now.
Win the Tua helmet. You can win the Tua helmet.
That's right. We've also got the Tua helmet up for grabs in our March Madness tournament. So all you got to do, head on over patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. You can upgrade your fandom for as little as $5 a month. And we appreciate everybody that's done that. And if you're not doing so already, make sure you're giving me a follow over there on Blue Sky at Amplified to Rock.
2-2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's actually, Frank is so freaking good. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again after a while. Folks, don't forget, when you're out in the streets driving around, thinking about Malik Willis and Tua Tagovailoa, that when you're driving, please be kind, as we must put an end to highway profanity.
Go Dolphins!